someone goes into, takes the vow, not a vow exactly, but announces that they're ready for sannyas, I always think of it as earth-shaking, because the world goes on one way. And if somebody does something that isn't exactly like everybody else, people around you get shaken up. Like, they want to know when they would be ready, maybe. Or, what is that person doing? Or, isn't that silly that she would give up everything to teach and serve? Or it could be very inspiring that they see this person taking a step. And so what sannyas is like this further development of your spiritual life. It's not an end, because you never start something from the end. You always start it from the beginning, being a beginner, and then it carries on. You keep going forward. It's not a place where you come to. It's a place where you make a decision. And the decision is that I'll have no other choice. I've made no other choice. I've made this decision that's very important to me, to say to everyone else that this is the life I want. This is my life. My life is to teach the teachings. What I've been given, I want to give back. And so it's like anything else. It takes all of that time, all of those life experiences, all of that patience, all of that perseverance, all of that character building to come to the place where you're ready. And a lot of the apples are getting ready, and soon they'll drop off. There's a plant that I've been waiting, the blossoms have been, like they're all wrapped up, and then one came out today, or the other day. It's just like they waited so long. And some people wait for a long, long time. And some people, while they're in sannyas, it takes them a long time to realize what it is. So it's like someone will put on the colors or the robe, but it's really what's happening inside. The robe is only a reminder that I made this promise, because it's so easy to slip back into being who people named you. But now you've chosen a name. So what does that mean? That you have to change. And it's interesting, there's a book coming out soon called On Sannyas, the Yoga of Renunciation. So you know from doing your dream yoga and your Kundalini yoga and your Hatha yoga, how long it takes. The yoga of renunciation is the same. And Swami Radha said you could start, because in the end, you have to give it all up, whatever you have, and what's going to be left. But what are you giving up? And the interesting thing about that character building and that patience and that ongoing life is that you learn to face it. You're not afraid. And I know for myself that I had made promises or commitments in marriage, and I stayed too long in the wrong commitment. So when I found the commitment that was right for my life, Because you can come to a place in your work, in your life, where you want to do something different. And so that becomes that different part, that going to the spiritual part requires that you know that. You know what's important. It's there, ripening, taking the steps. And the interesting thing about sannyas is that in the West, how is it compared to a cultural thing? And here at the ashram, we live in community. So we're showing by our living what it means to keep on going. That's what we're doing. And it doesn't mean that anyone is perfect, but they're keeping on going, and they've made a commitment to keep on going. And in doing that, through very practical life situations, like we're all here polishing each other, learning about all the different things that we have to learn in this lifetime, it's a way that we support and encourage and inspire each other to keep on going. Because you'd go through those things in life anyway. I mean, that's what life is all about. And just learning things. And one of the best ways God's decided is that we learn through mistakes. It's sort of painful in a way, but after a while we can change that. We can be a little more aware, make fewer mistakes.
One of the things, actually, that Radhananda said today was that, well, we've been feeding that part for so many years, and that really struck me. And I'm just seeing how strong that pull can be, but on the other hand, I now have something very strong to bring my mind to, and that's the commitment that I've just stepped into. And that is a tremendous blessing and a tremendous freedom, actually, to know that I can make that shift in my mind and be freer, even if it's just momentarily, from a pull of something old.
Starting quite a few years ago, I went through all the transcripts that we have, all the tapes that Swami Radha made, the notes that she made from 1956 right through to 1995. And we pulled together everything she said about sannyas. And she had, one of the prompt for this actually came from her. She wanted a small book on sannyas, and she talked about that before she died. So I was the person who pulled all these manuscripts together and filtered through them and then organized them in the themes that were apparent as she talked about sannyas over those years and as she developed those themes over the years. And that resulted in a fairly large book. Just on 8.5 by 11, it was about 150 pages, 200 pages, 300, I don't know. Well, it was big. For me, in a process, that I took that project on shortly after I became a Swami in 2001, and that was quite instrumental in my day-to-day appreciation of what it involves, because there's an idea we all have in our minds about spiritual life, and I think that I'm not different than most people. But when you start to work with what she said and begin to understand the underlying themes, the more and more I realized that my preconceptions were a huge barrier to my understanding where I was and what my next steps were, what I had to offer, and what I had to learn. And in the process of this book, things that normally we shy away from become very attractive. Things like surrender, And if you can turn that, you're normal. Most people don't think of that particularly favorably or as a strength, but in working with a manuscript like this, you really begin to understand what's really meant in that and how that is a step towards being free, being strong, being clear, and being happy. So it takes quite a bit of thought on just that one theme alone. I'll just leave it at that. There's other ones like discipline, which we normally shy away from, but it becomes an immensely empowering practice. And these are the things that underlie much of what sannyas is, so that life can be really lived to the fullest, and we can evolve to be the kind of persons that we were really born to be. So the book actually has went to an editor, and it's now in the process of being designed, and it'll be available, we think, in November. So it's this big manuscript has been boiled down to this beautiful little book that really is the essence of all that she said about sannyas. So you can look forward to reading it.